Hey guys, I am so embarrassed. Today, someone asked me about this event I went to, and I told them about it. After that, they asked me about the number of people that turned up, and I said between 30 and 200. It was definitely crowded, and they gave me this look of disdain that haunts me till now. And they said, that doesn't tell me much. That's a huge range. And I understand they were right. I should get better at estimating the number of things I see. I've been thinking about ways to get better, and I have thought of a game that I want to try coding. I think it would be fun to code and it might help me get better. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so the image I have in my head involves bubbles or nice looking circles. So let's call our project Bubble Estimator, and let's open it in Visual Studio Code. And now let's create an index.html file and an index.js file. And we're probably gonna need an index.css file. I mean a style sheet, a styles.css file. So let's create that. And let's add the boilerplate to our index.html. And let's change the title to, let's say, Estimator Trainer. That's how you spell estimator, maybe. And let's link the style sheet. And let's add the script tag to link the index.js file. Okay, so I'm thinking that we could create a function that generates a random number of circles and within an SVG element. So I think we could make a recursive function. What do you guys think? I'm just gonna create a recursive function. I'm gonna call it function create circles, because that's what it's gonna do. Or let's call it create bubbles. Bubbles are nicer than circles, right? Okay, and it's gonna take a bunch of params like SVG. We're gonna create it and pass it in. Okay, and then we need to add an x coordinate and a y coordinate for where we want to draw our circle. So center x and center y. And I guess it would be cool to have our circles be of different sizes. So we could specify a radius, and let's add depth as well. The depth would specify how many times we want our function to run. All right, next up, let's create the base case, and it's if depth is 0, return. Okay, so that means that our function will stop running when depth is 0. So I'm imagining a group of colorful bubbles appearing a few at a time. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to create a for loop for let I equals 0, not 0, as long as I is less than numbubbles, which is a variable we're gonna create right away. Let's keep adding 1 to I. All right, before we forget, let's create the variable numbubbles, so const numbubbles, and we want to create a random range. Let's say math.floor math.random times 6 plus 2. So this would give us a random number between 2 and 8. Okay, and inside the for loop, I would like to create the recursive case, because that would make it easier for me to decide on which variables to mess around with over here. So recursive case. I'm thinking that I want a bunch of bubbles to appear a few at a time. So maybe we should do it like this. Set timeout, create bubbles, and we're passing in the SVG again. It's not gonna change. And we are gonna add in altered coordinates. So remember, we're passing in center X and center Y. When we call our function again, we want our X and Y coordinates to be different. So let's make it new X and new Y. Also, we want our new circle to have a different radius. We want to randomize that, so we'll be passing in new radius. And of course, with every recursion, we want to take away 1 from the depth. Okay, and we want to run our recursive function every I times 500 milliseconds. Okay, so now that we've written this, we know which variables we want to declare. So let's get to it. So we would want to declare X, also new Y, new radius. Yep, that's it. Let's think. How can we calculate new X and new Y? So with every recursion, we will be passing in this value. So this value would be a polar coordinate. We wanna get Cartesian coordinate. So I actually don't remember how to do that, so I'm going to Google it. Okay, I think I'm going to use this formula. Just gonna copy it. So let's create const x where we're going to store the value of the Cartesian coordinates. It will be radius times the cosine of an angle times, math dot cosine angle, and we need an angle, plus center x, right? And const y would be same thing but sine. So let's just copy it and make it sine, and this would be center y. Okay, and let's erase this. So here we have Cartesian coordinates. Okay, and what did I want to do? Oh, I want to declare a variable to hold the angle. I'm thinking that we should create a variable here above the for loop and call it angle increment, and like let's say 3 times math.pi over numbubbles. That feels like it could be nice, right? Maybe I'm not making any sense. We'll see. Okay, so the angle would be maybe I times angle increment. All right, so now that we have const x and const y, I guess we can set new x and new y. I think no, we need to first declare the new radius because we're gonna need it to calculate new x and new y. New radius. We want the radius to be a bit random. What if we make a radius over math.random plus 1? That seems reasonable. Oh, I forgot to add the word const here. Okay. All right, and now new x. How about x plus new radius times math.cosine angle, and new y would be the same idea, but here this will be y and this will be sine. Okay, and now it's time to create our circle. Okay, so const circle equals document dot create element. I want to create element ns. Ns stands for namespace. Okay, and we want to use the namespace for SVG, which is this one. And here we should specify what we're drawing. And we'll be drawing a circle. And now let's set the center x coordinate of our circle. So circle.set attribute. We want to set cx, cx not cv, and it should be new x. And now we want to set the cy, the y coordinate of the center of our circle's center point. And it would be new y. And of course we also want to set the radius, and r is for radius. We want to set it to new radius. Okay, next up we want to set the color of our circle. In my mind, I want the circles to have different colors. That would be cool, right? Also, they're bubbles, not circles. I want the bubbles to have different colors. Should we create a function for generating random colors? Why not? Let's do it. Okay, let's call it generate random color. All right, I'm thinking let's create colors in HSL color mode, which is hue, saturation, lightness. HSL color mode. Alright, so looks like hue can be a value between 360 and saturation and lightness are percentages. So let's create a hue variable, a saturation variable, and a lightness variable. Okay, so hue would be math.floor math.random times 360. Okay, for the saturation, how about we kinda make the saturation a bit high? So let's make it math.floor math.random times 50 plus 50. So this will give us a range between 50 and 99, right? Yeah, I think that would be cool, right? Okay, and lightness, we also want to make it a range as well. How about math.random times 30 plus 50. So that would be like a random number between 50 and 79. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. Okie dokie. Now let's return the string with our randomly generated color. Okay, so HSL $, funny bracket, U, comma, $, curly braces or bracket or whatever it's called, percentage, and then $, and curly bracket or braces or whatever they're called, and then lightness, and then percentage. Okay, I think that looks correct, probably. Okay, and now let's use our generate random color function on our circle. So const random color equals generate random color. And now let's set, so circle.set attribute fill and then random color. Okay, and now I think we can append our circle to our SVG. So svg.append child circle. And now, how about we create another function and we call it start game. And we're going to use it to start our game, obviously, later on. So within our start game function, we are gonna call our create bubbles function, and we're gonna pass in the SVG element that we're gonna create, and then we're gonna need to pass a bunch of params such as the center X and Y and all of that. Okay, let's take it step by step. So step one, let's create the SVG element. Document dot create element ns, and that's the namespace. We want to create an SVG. Okay, excellent. All right, and how about for center X, we make it the middle of our SVG element. So why not create a variable to hold SVG height, and that would be window.inner height over 2, and then const SVG width, and let's make it window.inner width. So here, let's make center X SVG width over 2. Let's make center Y SVG height. For now, we can change it after. And the circle radius, I don't know, let's start it out with 100. And then we need to pass a value for the depth. Let's make 3 the value for now. Okay, and now let's set our SVG's width and height. So svg.set attribute height, and that'll be SVG height, and then svg.set attribute width, it'll be SVG width. Okay, and now let's add it to the body of the page. So append child SVG. No, not AVG. SVG. Oh my gosh, SVG. Now let's check it out in the live server. Nothing shows. Why? Okay. Oh, I didn't call the function. I didn't call stored game. I always forget to call functions and then I freak out. Okay, let's see. Oh, why are they black? Oh, I like how they're showing a bunch after the other bunch. But like, why are they black though? Okay, Oh, I forgot to add the brackets or whatever they're called. Oh, yay, now they're colorful. Okay, but not all of them are showing. Maybe we could like change the overflow of the SVG to visible. Yay, that's awesome. Okay, since we're here in the styles.css, how about we also try changing the opacity of the circle? Maybe we could make a 0.7. Yay, now the circles look more like bubbles. Cool. Alright, I think I should move the camera to the side and make it smaller so you guys can see the browser and the code. So, let's see how they look when we don't have to wait for all of them to load. I think the waiting thing would be fun, but like when we add sound effects and stuff. But for now, it feels so satisfying to just refresh and have these bubbles show up. They're so nice, right? I love them. Okay, so I want to be able to play this game on my phone as well. So I want to make it responsive. And the most important thing is to be able to see all the bubbles, right? Since it's a bubble estimation game, and this is not good. We can't see all the bubbles on the phone. It looks so cool and I can't stop refreshing, but you know, what if we make the circle radius smaller, right? Yeah, that helps. Okay, but we don't want it that small on a PC screen. So how about we create a variable circle radius. So const circle radius, and we're gonna make it that if window dot inner width is greater than 1800, then we want the size of the radius to be 100. Else, let's make a window dot inner width times, let's say, 0.09. Oh, so the circles look tiny, but we can see all of them, which is cool. I guess I could use my phone to practice. Okay, let's see how it would look on a big screen. I think it looks good. I think this might work. All right, what if we give circles a shadow? So what if we do filter, drop shadow, 3 pixels, 3 pixels, 5 pixels, and then we want it black. So 0, 0, 0, and then 0.7. Yeah, that looks nice. All right, so now how about we increase the time between every layer of circle being added. And now, just for fun, let's add animation. So circle.style.transform equals translate, let's say 0 and negative 50%. Oh wow, this looks interesting. Let's make it, let's say 5%. Wow, cool. Okay, also let's add a transition effect. Guess we can add it here. Transition, transform 1 second, ease and out. Oh, very nice. Alright, so I am getting very sleepy. So I'm just gonna go to bed now and continue working on this tomorrow. If you guys are watching and enjoying this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thank you. See you next time. See you tomorrow. For me, but for you it would be like a couple of seconds. See you in a couple of seconds. That is tomorrow for me. Hello again, guys. It's tomorrow and I am happy to see you. So let's make a to-do file. I would like to be able to see if I can estimate the number of bubbles. So we wanna find a way to console log the number of bubbles maybe. And I also want to add sound effects because I think that would be cool. Also, I want to be able to input my estimation and check if it's a good estimation or not. Okay, so let's start with finding a way to estimate the number. All right, so in order to keep track of circles drawn, let's go somewhere above our create bubbles function and let's declare a variable and let's call it circles drawn and let's set it to 0. Okay, and now let's find where we append our circle. Okay, and circles drawn, add 1. Yeah, where we draw the circle or maybe where we append it, right? Doesn't matter, I think. And then in the stored game, we wanna set circles drawn to 0 again. Oh, and also we wanna console log the number. So console log circles. Let's make it bubbles. Num bubbles circles drawn. All right. Oh my gosh, I forgot to move my camera again. Okay, sorry about that. Let's move the camera. and let's see if it works. I'm excited. Okay, inspect. Let's check our console. Oh, it says there are 134 bubbles drawn. Okay, let's see if I can guess the number of bubbles drawn. So I see so many bubbles here. Maybe somewhere around maybe 500. It says 156. I'm really bad at this. Okay. All right. What if this number is lying? What if it's not the correct number? Let's make it smaller, right? Like let's copy this and cause our function to generate less bubbles so I can keep track of them and see if it's lying. I'm really bad at estimating, so I'm just gonna count. So there are 3, 3, 3, that's 9, and then 12, right? And then 2 more. So that's like 14, right? 14 bubbles. Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's not lying. It's saying the truth. So the problem is me. Okay. Let's change some things about how these things are displayed. Let's make it if it's greater than 1500. Let's inspect. Yeah, this is better. And I've noticed that sometimes bubbles are too high up. You're right, because we added this animation. So let's make it SVG height times 0.9. And what if we change the opacity, make it a bit lower? Is this better? Yeah, I think so. I think it's better. You can see more bubbles that way. So how about we start hunting for sound effects? Like, I'm thinking a blob sound effect or something like that. So blob free sound effect. Oh my gosh. No. How about I Google royalty free sounds? Okay, free sound. Let's say blob. Okay. I don't like that. What the water. I think I like this one. Okay, so I'm gonna download this sound, I guess. It's a Creative Commons sound. Okay, download it. Okay, and now let's put it in our project directory. Let's drag and drop it. And let's change the name. I'm just gonna call it Blob. Let's hear it. Next up, let's try to use the sound effect and use it to make our game more interesting. So in order to get it to work, we're gonna need to use Web Audio API. And in order to use it, we're first gonna need to declare variable audio context. And then we're going to attempt to create an instance of the audio context. The reason I say attempt is because some browsers do not support the Web Audio API. That's why we'll wrap it in a try and catch block. So try audio context equals new window dot audio context or window dot webkit audio context. And then we'll add parentheses here. Okay, and then catch error console dot error web audio API is not supported. Okay, and then we want to create a function for sound loading. All right, let's create it here under our stored game function. let's call it load sound file. Okay, and it's gonna take two params, which are the URL and callback. So the URL represents the location of our sound clip, and callback is a function that we're gonna pass in later on, and it's going to actually be our create bubbles function. Okay, so fetch URL, then response dot array buffer, then buffer audio context dot decode audio data buffer, then audio buffer plop buffer equals audio buffer. And then we want to check if a callback function is provided, and if so, we want to invoke it. So if callback. Okay, so first thing, we're getting the audio file, and then we are converting our response to an array buffer, and then we are decoding the array buffer, and then we are handling the decoded array buffer, storing it in the blob buffer variable. Okay, and we also want to catch errors during the fetch. So let's add that. Dot catch error console dot error loading sound. Right, next we want to create another function and call it function play blob sound. Okay, so const source equals audio context dot create buffer source, and source dot buffer equals blob buffer, and then source dot connect audio context dot destination, and then source dot start 0. Okay, and now let's go to our main function, the create bubbles function, and let's play the sound when we create the circles. So how about we put it here? So play blob sound. Okay, and the next thing we need to do in order to get it to work is we should go down to our stored game function, and we want to load the sound file first and then the game. So load sound and start game. So we load sound file, and this blob.wav, and our callback function is the create bubbles function. Yes, I think this is good, right? Okay, let's open with live server. Oh my god, it worked. Okay, so the web audio API gets initialized with user input, I think. So now, since we don't have a dialogue or anything, if you want to hear the sound, we should click. Okay, so let's try it again. Okay, again. Not sure if I'm in love with the sound. How about we change the timeout here? Make it 500. This is nicer. I think this is nicer. Yes, I like it. I'm not sure if I'm crazy about the sound, but for now, I like it. Okay, so let's create the game interface. Every game needs a start game button, I'm guessing. Okay, so let's go to our index.html, and in the body, let's create, oh my gosh, this is so loud. Shut up. Okay, and then the body, let's create a button. It should say start game. Okay, let's give it the ID start game. Okay, now let's go to our styles.css and start adding some styling to our start game button. Since it's a button, let's make the cursor pointer. And we want it to be a circle, so I want it to be big. So let's make, first of all, the width and the height the same size. Let's say the width should be 40 view width. We want to make the height the same size, so also 40 view width. And then we want the border to be none, and the border radius to be 50%. Yeah, that looks good. Maybe we could also give it box shadow. So let's make the box shadow 0, 4 pixels, 8 pixels, and then RGBA, and 0, 0, 0. And then 0.2 opacity. Yeah, this looks better. It looks a bit 3D. Okay, and let's make the font size a bit bigger. Let's make it large. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, and now, of course, we want to make our button useful. Right now, it doesn't do anything. So let's go to our index.js file. And let's remove this line. Const start game button equals document.get element by ID start game. Right? Okay. And now start game button dot add event listener. Click. And we want our game to start. So start game. And we also want it to work on the phone as well. So start game button dot add event listener touch start game. All right, and then let's go to our start game function, and we want to set the display of the button to none. Once the game starts, we don't want to see the button. So start game button dot style dot display equals none. Okay, let's try it. Cool, it works and the sound works. I think that our button would look much nicer if it were in the middle of our page. So I think we could accomplish this by adding some styling to the body. So let's make it margin 0, display, flex, justify, content, center, align items, also center, height, 100 view height. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Let's click on it. Awesome. Okay, and now let's create a div to hold our question prompt. Div, let's give it the ID question. Okay, and we want to make a label that says input the number of bubbles, or maybe estimate the number of bubbles. And then we want an input area. We'll give it the ID input area and the name input. And then let's create a submit button and give it the ID submit answer. And then we'll create another div nested within our question div. And this div will have the ID result div because that's where we'll be showing the results. Okay, and within it, we're gonna need a paragraph where we're gonna actually write the result, like tell our user how badly or how well they've performed. And we are also gonna need a button that would allow the user to play again. Let's give it the ID restart game. And I should say again. Okay, and since we only want this button to show up after the user has submitted an answer, let's set its display to none. Now let's add some styling to our question div. So bottom 20 v height, position, absolute, nice. And then background color black, opacity, let's say 80%, padding, let's say 20 pixels, border radius, let's say 30 pixels, color white. Maybe we could decrease the opacity some more. Let's make it 60% or 70. Yeah, cool. Okay, and I'm not like the biggest fan of this font. So let's go back to the body and make the font family sans serif. Okay, and at first we also don't want to see the question. We want to dynamically make it show later, so let's set the display to none. Okay, so let's go to our index.js, and the first thing we should do, I'm thinking, is go to our stored game function, and we want our question div to appear like sometime after we hit the start game button, right? So set timeout document dot get element by ID question dot style dot display block. What the heck? And we want this to happen, let's say after 4 seconds, maybe. Let's try it. Yeah, I think that works, right? Like we can see all the bubbles. Okay, I feel like our bubbles show up closer to the bottom. What if we change this value, like make it window.innerHeight over 4? I think this looks better. Okay, what if the screen is bigger? Let's refresh. Yeah, I think that looks good, and I think the div shows up nicely as well. Okay, let's make the game playable. So first, let's create a variable to hold the submit answer button. Document.getElement by ID submit answer. We also want to get hold of the input area as well. Get element by ID input area. Okay, and then we wanna add an event listener to the submit answer button. Click, and on a click event, we want to first of all prevent default, and then we want to do many things based on that answer. That's why we should define a submit answer function. I'm just gonna call it, but we haven't defined it yet, so let's define it. So function submit answer. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is retrieve the user's response. Let's create variable user input, and it would be input area dot value, and then we want to use the trim method to remove any white spaces before the inputted number or after it. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to check if the inputted value is composed of numbers. So I don't remember how to do that. I'm gonna Google it. Oh yes, I've checked this answer before. Yes, this is what I am looking for. So I'm just gonna copy it. Okay, so if not, user input alert, please enter a valid number. Okay, let's check if it works. So let's say I write, oh yay, it works. Okay, and if I write numbers, nothing happens. Awesome. Okay, and then we want to clear the input area after we make the alert. So input area dot value, let's make it an empty string, and submit answer button dot disabled equals false. Okay, and then we wanna input area focus, and then let's add this with return. Okay, and then let's convert the inputted value to a number so we can compare it. So const user answer parse int user input 10. Okay, and then we wanna calculate how off the estimation is, because honestly I don't expect myself, definitely not myself, to come up with the exact number of bubbles. I wanna see how terrible of an estimation I made, so I wanna calculate the percentage difference. So const percentage difference equals math dot apps, and then we want user answer minus circles drawn over circles drawn times 100. Okay, I'm thinking that we should add a scoring system, and you get a higher score the closer your estimation is to the actual number. Okay, so let's go back to our index.html file and let's add an h5 element and give it the ID user score. Now we'll start out with score 0. So we want our score to show up on a top corner. So let's go to our styles.css file and add some styling. So ID user score, and let's make the position, no, not inherit, fixed top 0 and left 80%. Yes, perfect. Okay, and at first we want to have it invisible, so display none. Alright, now let's go back to our index.js and let's initiate a mutable variable to hold our score. Let's put it here above our stored game. So let score equals 0. And now let's go to our stored game, and we want to display the score once the game starts. So document dot get element by ID user score dot style dot display block. Awesome. Oh, and since we're here, let's also input area dot focus. Yes. Okay, very cool. Let's go back to our submit answer function. If percentage difference equals 0, which is the best possible scenario, then document dot get element by ID result. Remember, the element with the ID result is a P element, a paragraph element, and we want the inner text of result to be correct. Well done. You got plus 100. I wonder if I could ever achieve this without cheating. Okay, then user score, or actually, and then score plus equal 100. Okay, and then else if percentage difference is less than or equal 20. Let's copy and paste this. We want to say close, and then we want to tell the user how off they were. So let's make it a template literal. Close you were percentage difference. Let's make it to fixed 2%. To fixed helps us round it up. And then let's also say you get 50. And let's also tell the user the number we were looking for. So the number we were looking for is circles drawn, and then score plus equal 50. Okay, and then let's say else if percentage difference is less than or equals 45. We could say close also, and then percentage difference to fixed, and then we tell them also the number we were looking for, but this time they get plus 25 points. And then finally else can say oops instead of close, and then we say the percentage difference also, and then the number we are looking for. And our loser user doesn't get any points added to their score. Okay, let's try it. So why doesn't the score show? I wrote direction here instead of display. Brilliant. God damn it. Okay. Yes, there it is. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna try to estimate something. Let's say 58. Really? I was 5,700% off? That makes no sense. Is my calculation incorrect? My calculation is incorrect, isn't it? Okay, so yes, I think my calculation is incorrect. I should add parentheses here, like this. Yeah, I think that should fix it. And also, I should delete this because the user doesn't get plus 25. And while we're at it, Let's also update the score in the window, the user score element. So document dot get element by ID user score dot inner text equals score. All right. Okay, let's try now. Okay, let's say 58. Okay, the score updates and 34% off doesn't seem so crazy. Okay, let's try to cheat. Okay, so 182. Yay! I think we're good, right? I think we're good. And now I want to also be able to submit an answer by hitting enter. Okay, let's just copy this bit and change this to key down, and then let's add an if statement. So if event dot key is enter, then this to happen. Oh, and also let's disable the submit answer button once an answer is submitted. So submit answer button dot disable is true. Let's do the same here. Oh my god, we don't want to add an event listener to submit answer button. It should be input area, sorry. Okay, remember the restore button we have created earlier to allow users to play once more after submitting an answer? Let's change its display to block once the user submits an answer. All right, now let's create a restart game function that would contain the logic for restarting the game. Okay, so function restart game. We want to make sure to set the display of our restart button to none, and submit answer button should no longer be disabled. So disabled false. And we want to set the display of the question div to none as well. And then we want to remove the existing SVG element that we have created earlier, because we want to have an empty page to display our new SVG with our new bubbles. So const existing SVG document dot query selector SVG, and if existing SVG document dot body dot remove child existing SVG. And then we want to also empty the input area and also empty the result paragraph element we've created. So inner text. And then we wanna run the start game function. And now let's add an event listener to our restart button. So restart button dot add event listener, click, so restart game. And how about we also allow users to restart the game by hitting the space button. So document dot add event listener, key down, event, if event dot key equals space, then restored game. Let's check if it works. Oh, actually, I should fix this. Input area dot value. All right, let's see if it works. Okay, I hit space and yay, it keeps resetting. Great. Oh, why is this guy disabled? Why is the submit button disabled? Let me see. I thought we set disabled to false. Oh, maybe I should remove the quotations, right? Okay. Yay, it works. Okay, let's say 185. I wrote 400. I want 185. Submit. Okay, I'm getting better. Or maybe because I know the range. I don't know. Let's see how it would look on a telephone. So I have a Samsung. Let's refresh. It looks decent. I've noticed that it does not focus on the input, although I thought I said input area focus. I want to try to fix this. Let's go to our start game function and maybe let's add input area dot focus here. Maybe that would help, right? I'm not sure. Let's try. Okay. Yay, it worked. Okay, so I want to share this game with some of the people I know and see if they're as bad as me at estimating. So I want to create a rules section. I'm going to create a button and just make it have a question mark and give it the ID rules. And I'll make it so that when people hover on that button, they will see a set of rules. Let's create a div element that will contain the rules. Let's give it the ID rules box. Now let's add some styling. Okay, so our rules button, which we've given the ID rules, should have position fixed top 0 because we want it on top, and right 80%, border radius 50% because I love circles. Excellent. And then height, same as width. Cool. All right, and we want border none. And we want to give it shadow, just like our big start game button. So I'm just gonna copy the box shadow and paste it. And okay, we have many buttons, so let's make all our buttons have cursor pointer, right? Okay, and now let's add styling to our rules box. Oops. Okay, it should be on top of everything else. So let's make the index 50. Background color, let's say black. Border radius, let's say 30 pixels. Opacity, let's say 75%. Padding, 20 pixels. And we want the text to be white. And we want it to be at the top, close to the button. And then right would be 60%. And position should be fixed. Let's see how it looks on a normal sized window. I think it actually looks kind of cool. So now let's get back to our index.js file and let's get a hold of our rules button. So const rules button as document dot get element by ID rules and rules box. Okay, and now let's create a function to toggle the display of the rules box. Let's call it function toggle rules box. Okay, if rules box dot style dot display equals block rules box dot style dot display should be none, else rules style dot display should be block. And now let's add an event listener for mouse over. So rules button dot add event listener mouse over rules box dot style dot display equals block. And then we want to add another event listener. It would be on mouse leave. So rules button to add event listener, and then it should be mouse leave rules box dot style dot display equals none. Okay, and now for mobile, that's where we're gonna be using the function we've created above. So rules button dot add event listener touch start, and then event dot prevent default. Then we wanna use the function toggle rules box, and we also wanna add an event listener for touch end, and we also wanna call our function. So let's see if it works. Okay, I think I forgot to set the rules box display to none at first. So display should be none. Okay, and now this is how it will be on a mobile phone. So you press the rules show, you stop pressing, they go away. Okay, let's try it on a big screen. Yay, you hover and there are the rules. I think it's good enough for me. I mean, it's not perfect, but I like it. And now I'm thinking it could be fun to maybe make the rules button have a random color. Background color equals generate random color. See if yeah, it worked. Nice. Okay, and also let's do the same to our start game button. Style dot background color generate random color. Yay! I think that's cool, right? It has the spirit of the game. Okay, so I'm thinking that I should get it and deploy it on Netlify. So I'm just gonna do that. Yay, here it is. It's deployed. That was so easy. Okay, let's try it. Number of bubbles, I don't know, maybe let's say 178. Oh, I was 35.88% off. Okay, let's try it on the phone. Here it is. Let's hit start game. Yay! Wait. Oh, the sound. It works. There's sound. Okay, let's input the number. It works. Hey, we did it. We made a terrible game, but it was fun, right? I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe and see you later. Goodbye.